BAs, what do we need to do here in terms of defining the change strategy? Very important that first we need to have the systems thinking. This is what I was talking about in the all the training sessions as well before as well, right? So we need to have systems thinking, a holistic perspective, looking at people, processes, organizational structures, technologies, information, all of these and everything needs to be looked at from that kind of point of view of holistic and a comprehensive outlook, not just narrow-minded niche kind of a look, not siloed, but a holistic perspective on all these different aspects. Then you'll be able to actually kind of understand better the relationships between or amongst these different entities, how we can really correlate. And there's a useful tool called Poppet, which would be helpful here to, which is basically simple aspect, a simple dimension of processes, people, organization, information, technology. So that's called Poppet. So pretty much what we just mentioned here. And in the context of this, so what we need to really look at is the people element is very, very important. You cannot ignore the people aspect. It's every business is down to the people who run the business, who are working in that organization, who are buying the products or services offered from that business. It's all down to the people and how they relate to each other, how they view your product, the image of your product, and how they could potentially impact the direction in which this particular organization would go. So all of these very important. People element is very, very critical here. So obviously we should not miss that. But apart from the people, we also need to look at processes, products, services, offerings, the overall organization structure, the dynamics involved, the tools, the techniques, the technology, the kind of data information that we're capturing. All of these need to be looked at from that point of view, holistic point of view. And the other thing that needs to be brought to the table is obviously, as business analysts, the term business acumen is very important, because as we discussed, technology is important. Definitely technology is an enabler. Technology is a medium, but then what is important is the business objectives. How much of business value we are delivering through our offering, through this process product that we have got. That's very, very important. So business acumen, business understanding of what we are trying to deliver for, and who we are delivering it for, and how we can deliver this. So all these things are really important, because that's what is going to ultimately decide whether all the effort that you have got is it going to be really fruitful or not. And it's required to have a fundamental, you need to have that foundation of the best practices, the principles that you have for the business. So obviously every decision that we take need to be weighed in from the context of the business perspective, the business principles, and the knowledge that we have from the point of view of business. Technology is important. Technology is the driver. Technology is the enabler. But ultimately, it's the business that needs to be considered in all the decisions that we've taken, and that needs to be the key, as I say, tipping the scales in terms of which direction we should go. Industry knowledge, again, connected to business acumen. Very important that we have a good knowledge about what industry market that we are in. If it is technology industry, what kind of digital technologies we have. If it is banking, what kind of banking regulations are being in vogue. How are the banking practices in general had been shaping up in the last few years, the cryptocurrencies, their impact. How is risk being perceived in banking? Same with healthcare. How about the overall healthcare aspects, the life sciences, outlook towards the improvement of the lifestyles of people? How are the healthcare and life sciences companies, organizations helping improve the overall lifestyle of the people at large? And then we also need to look at, from the domain perspective, who are the competitors and who are the key players in the market? What are their contributions? What are they trying to do with respect to helping their customers and users? And how can we benchmark ourselves against those? We can even benchmark against our own competitors. That's fine, because otherwise, we are stuck in the rut. If we keep looking internally, we would not have a clear direction or a sense of purpose. So we should try and sometimes look outside, gain some kind of inspiration from looking at the competition, from looking at other companies, which are in different industries but perhaps doing something really good. Let's try and learn something positive from them, and that's what we call as benchmarking. So we need to do that kind of exercises very often. And knowledge about common products and types, very important, because again, this is what I was talking about, that what these other companies are doing, other competitive companies and other organizations in different segments, different industries, what are they coming up with, what kind of offerings they've got, how innovative are their products, how are they doing it, what kind of practices and processes are they following. All of these are going to be a critical component for us to help analyze and set a strategy for our own organization. And obviously that also goes to say that you need to have a clear understanding in terms of what are the specific terms, processes in our own industry. Again, that kind of industry knowledge helps. That's what we were talking about. Healthcare, you need to know the practices, the kind of direction in which the overall industry is going, what are the players trying to achieve out of this, and how we should align ourselves to that, right? So it's basically either you catch the wave, or if you're such a pioneer, you're leading the curve, you're actually ahead of the rest of the players in the market as an industry thought leader. What is your contribution? What are the areas that you're trying to address, and how you're going to achieve those? Again, very important. And then organization knowledge is basically about trying to understand our own organization structure, the behaviors, organizational behavior, the dynamics, the overall purpose and the sense of intent within our own organizational units, the structures, the architecture of our own enterprise. And that's, again, it goes on to include, for example, how we're going to get our budgets, where are we going to get our revenues from, what are our sources of revenues and income, how we creating the profits, how are we going to set the goals for ourselves, and how we're going to achieve those, the goals and the objectives, and what is, again, our organization structure. Are we more top heavy and bottom light? Are we structured properly? Do we have too much of hierarchy? Are we going to cut down the flat at the top? Are we going to have mesh structure? Are we going to have democratic kind of leadership? Are we going to have some leadership which is autocratic, it's top down? Or is it that innovation is being encouraged from the bottom up, from the development, from the people in the shop floor? Are they going to actually contribute? So how is our style of management? All of these. And then the relationships between the business units, how we performing in terms of our own teams, departments, business units. How is the cooperation, collaboration happening there? Is it mutually engaging, or is it like a lot of rivalry? It's okay to have rivalry so long as it is encouraging each other to be productive, but the rivalry should not kill the productivity. It should not be negative. So all of these need to be considered. And obviously, in terms of the key stakeholder positions, we need to consider, again, the organization structure, have the right people in the right place at the right time, so that we can take the right decisions.